the Freedom Project. I'm your host, Pete Adams, and I've got my good friend Sherie Hollis, who's going to be a co-host on this class today. And what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about reality. I'm not sure if you guys heard the show that Sherie and I did the other day, but it was on reality on the Law of Attraction Radio Network. Today we're going to be a little less formal, not so much like an interview type process. And if you guys have a real pressing question while we're doing it, you can just shoot it into the chat box or raise your hand or however you do it on Zoom. And I'll stop and get to it. I kind of would like to roll through the material first that way and then go to the questions, because otherwise we're going to get like 5 minutes into this thing and I'll be answering questions for an hour. I don't mind, but it's just like I want to get through the material first. And a little bit about, you guys know who I am, and a little bit about Sherie. Sherie's a metaphysician and an intuitive healer and life coach. And she's, I wouldn't have her on the show if she didn't have her act together. And I'd like to welcome Sherie up in there in the corner.
Thank you, Peter. Hi, everyone.
Great. All righty. Well, hey, so let me, some of this material is going to seem a little bit down the rabbit hole, as I call it. But in truth, no one's really talking about what we're going to be talking about today. It's not mainstream, it's not stuff that people talk about on television or anything like that. And, because they really don't understand what reality is. That's the biggest challenge. And essentially, we're spiritual beings having a human experience in physicality. And what that means is, like, essentially, all your senses are telling you, this is real. This is, like, knock on wood, it's fixed. And what we're really going to dive into today is reality is not fixed. You can absolutely mold and create the reality that you desire. And we're going to talk about that in depth today. And to start off, Sherie, how would you like to start off as far as talking about reality? What do you think would be a good jumping point?
Reality can be pretty tricky because, as we know, everything is based on your belief system. So if your belief system is one way, you're going to attract only those things that are related to your belief system. So it gets pretty tricky in that respect, because people are saying, oh, but wow, this happened to me. And how could that not be true if it happened to me? When they're talking about difficult situations and circumstances, they're wondering, how did I attract this? Why would I do that to myself? But what they don't realize is that you get what you are in life, meaning that it's not the truth of who you are, but based on where your vibration is and based on where your belief systems, that's what you're going to attract. So whether that is so-called true or not, in terms of principle, you're still going to attract it, regardless to whether someone else would look at your situation and say, wow, that must be true. It's not necessarily that way. It's based on attraction, based on the subjective thoughts that you are having in your mind. And that's what you're going to attract to you.
Ooh, great explanation, Sherie. Yeah, to build on that, it's, the stuff, it's like the program is running in the background on its own. So it's just like, you don't have like a start button at all. It's just like whatever you're continuously thinking is kind of it's going to show up into your reality. And and it's just, you guys have all, I'm sure, read or listened to my book Visualization. Okay, so the first 3 chapters of that book were experiences that I created. And that's why I led the book off with, how I did it and what happened. And the thing was, I proved beyond a shadow of a doubt, this is, you can mold your reality. And, once you start you take control and deliberately think the way you want to think and get focused on what you just want to, what you desire, then you can change the outcome. Because otherwise, I say this all the time, it's like having a GPS in your car, but you don't have a destination to put into it. So, the GPS can't get you to nowhere, so it's like dividing by zero. It just doesn't work. And that's one of the biggest things too I've noticed when 99% of the world, they're asleep. I mean, they have no idea that this stuff exists, and they wonder why things, quote unquote, happen to them, and they don't realize the relationship between the thoughts they think, the feelings they have, and the beliefs they hold. And that's what's showing up, and it shows up repeatedly. Like some people, for instance, people will say, I'm poor. Well, that's what you believe. Well, you're not going to be wealthy, because what you're saying is a total opposite of what you desire. So people say, well, that must be nice. Like they don't have any say in the game. And that's completely false.
Right.
Here's a fun. This is a funny one. I got to share with you guys. Today, I had to really pat myself in the back to congratulate myself on how powerful I am as a creator. Okay, this is where it gets funny. It wasn't funny today, but it's funny now. I had an issue with the internet company at our company, a company called Spectrum. Well, since we got Spectrum, they've kind of like dropped the ball like every turn. Okay, so the first time they were supposed to come out to change over our internet, they didn't show up. Then the next time we were porting a telephone number. Long story short, pain in the neck process, right? So set the appointment up a month later. Okay, they don't show up. Right. And the whole time, because we wanted this phone number from one of our other stores that we've had for like 50 years. So I've got Comcast forwarding that number. So I'm paying the Comcast bill like $180 a month. All right. Then I make another appointment and they don't show up. Today was like the breaking point, right? They're supposed to turn it on again. Well, they didn't show up. So I call the sales guy. You're gonna love this one. Can't leave a voicemail because his mailbox is full. Right? I called he called me back. And this is I was on the phone with a rep, and she didn't seem like I was like in the wrong section of Spectrum's customer service. So I was on the phone with her. He called me, the sales guy called me, and then I hung up with her. Then we get connected on a three-way to business customer service. And they're like, we'll transfer you over to technical whatever. Then get this one. The Spectrum's like, the lady at Spectrum's like supposed to be, tie us into the other department, right? The call gets dropped on their side.
It's like nonstop things.
Right? Yeah. Right. And then again, the final part, I'll just, I'll wrap this one up. I called back and I just, go through the prompt thing, and it's just like, my phone doesn't work. My phone, I'm talking to the computer. Boy. Yeah. All right, get this one. I finally get somebody who actually knows what the heck they're talking about. And she's just like, your number's been set up since March 14th. I'm like, well, why hasn't anyone told me that, they didn't have to send a tech out? I said, we scheduled this in April, and that was 2 weeks after this thing's been turned on and working. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And I was just like, I was like, it's like wastes like half my day, right? And I'm like getting mad. And then it's just like, it's me creating all that junk because of my belief system and my, the powerful feelings I have about bad internet service in Florida. I mean, it was crazy. So if you see stuff like that happening in your life, you created it, so
It's
pat yourself in
amazing.
the back, you know.
Peter, it could be instant though, because I know there was one day I was riding with a friend of mine in the car, and she just kept coming across all these people that kept cutting her off and just doing dumb stuff, and she kept going at them. And I said to her, I said, "Do you know that you're attracting this?" I said, "Because you started out by saying that everybody's always cutting you off and all of this stuff." And I said, "So your words actually went out there and it brought it back to you." So that's how powerful we are.
Oh yeah. Well, and one more example of that. This is a blog post I haven't recorded yet, so you guys are getting the inside information. I was driving back from one of our stores, and long story short, I'm on this 2-lane road with double yellows. So it's like you can't pass. The speed limit's like 35, and the car in front of me is like riding on the car in front of theirs. Like they were like in the hood, like almost in the trunk. It was just like, and the guy's like, driving back and forth, like he's gonna like pass on the grass or something. And I'm watching this, right? And I can tell the kid who's driving the car, it's like he's just getting like higher levels of road rage kind of thing, because it's like looking like more this, like the guy in front of him couldn't go any place because there were 4 cars in front of him all going the same speed, and there was traffic coming the other way. Okay, this is you want to, the name of the blog post is like Own Your Power. Okay, this was not an old car. This car was like probably 6 years old. It was whatever the heck the brand was, right? So finally, the kid in the car who's amped up gets to a passing zone. You can see the car, he's hitting the gas. This is what happened next, right? All the smoke starts, white smoke, and billowing out of the car, out of the back. And it's like, I know what that is. That's a head gasket, right? That's a super expensive repair. So this kid, his rage blew up his car, literally. Yeah. And I was like, watch this. I'm like, man, I wish I had this sort of GoPro, it'd go viral for sure. Yeah. So, all right. So, Sherie, why don't we talk a little about patterns in belief systems, and that help people identify like when stuff's showing up that they don't like.
Yeah. Well, patterns basically are just thoughts that you keep thinking, and they create, like I said in the last show, they create a groove within the brain. So it's kind of like the analogy that I use is like a record player, and it's a record playing, and you put the needle on that record, and it keeps skipping, going back to that same groove, that same pattern. It goes back to it automatically because that's something that you created that creates that loop where it keeps going back to that groove. So that's basically what the pattern is. It's like it's a program that you put into yourself because of your consistent belief systems.
Right. Well, hey, what would be a way that you would think what would be a good technique, Sherie, that would how can people change that pattern or that belief system? I guess is a better way of saying it.
First and foremost, you have to be aware of it. And that can be difficult with some patterns, because some patterns are so deeply embedded that it takes some shadow work to actually do it. You have to really do some internal work. But for the ones that are pretty much on the surface and stuff, you can override it through affirmations, because then you can change the operating system, the program that you sent in. You could change it with words. But the power of the affirmation is that you're repeating it over and over again to eventually the brain receives it as true. So that's a repetition.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's your mind doesn't know what's true and what's not.
That's right.
Until you feed it. So it's just like we're basically telling it what is reality, and that's the whole trick when you use like creative visualization. It's just like you're basically telling the operating system, this is my reality.
Yes.
And it goes to work and works on it, and it shows up. I mean,
oh my goodness, Peter, you're saying a mouthful there, because it's pretty powerful when you understand that there are tools that you can use.
Oh, absolutely.
Visualization, affirmations, and there are plenty other there are other ones as well.
Right.
You're not with a death sentence, everyone. That's what we're really basically trying to tell you. You can, the universe is malleable. You definitely can bend it and yield it to whatever you desire, but you have to practice.
Oh, that's the whole thing. And you guys have heard, if you've heard me before, you've heard me say, you know, you got to show up and do the work. I mean, I say that I live that. And you guys, yeah, if you guys are familiar with the visual festation system, I hope you guys are. I hope you guys have all. I hope you all have all of my works for free. And if you don't, go to p2dadams.com and sign up for Tools for Your Success, and you'll get all of my works for free. And part of that
and
too.
Your book also is on YouTube. Both of your books.
Oh yeah, and they're actually the MP3s for the books. Besides being on YouTube, they're also, when you sign up for that Tools for Your Success, you're going to get an email that has both the PDF versions as well as the audio books. So,
right.
You know, so it's, if you don't have it, go for it. This is one of the things I want to share. Not everyone has heard the show that I talked about this, but. And it wasn't in my book, Visual Festation, either. And this is probably by far the most profound example of reality is not what you think it is. And let me, I'll just tell you a short story. You guys, heard about me winning the Ironman lottery slot. Okay. Well, that whole thing was about me spending 3.5 months or so visualizing racing that race in my head, in my mind every day. Excuse me. And when I got to the race, it was just like, it was like a carbon copy of what I had visualized. I mean, it wasn't like kind of similar. It was like I was in the darn DVD that I had watched from the 2004 race. And it started off with I could see the feet kicking in the swim. And in the video, it says, you are in Hawaii and you are in the Ironman. And I could hear it like I was watching the DVD on my laptop. It was like the same voice. And got out of the swim, headed out on the bike on the Queen K, and I'm up there by myself. And when you're in the middle of a lava field with nobody around you, it's like you start spacing out. And I'm just like, I started wondering, like, am I really here? Because it's just seems weird. And it's funny because about 40 miles into the bike, I caught this lady. Her name's Linda, and I actually met her after racing with her in Hawaii. And long story short, it rolled up next to her, right? I kept passing her. She passed me. I passed her because I'm going downhill. I'd fly by her because I was like 40 pounds heavier. On the uphill, she'd fly by me. And finally, I just rode up next to her. And I just looked over to her. And I just said, are we really here? And she's just like, I know what you mean. She goes, it's surreal. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, well, fortunately, I wasn't the only person like having these crazy thoughts. Well, it really got out of control because I started, thinking about, was it a train, bike wreck or something? And this God's let me race, the Ironman Hawaii and as part of my heaven thing, and this is where it freaked me out. Going back to Kona, I'm on my bike. All right. I'm in the friggin' middle of nowhere lava field. And all of a sudden I can hear a helicopter coming up behind me. And in the DVD, the shadow of the helicopter went right over the race leader on his bike. Right. I hear the helicopter. I'm like, no way. No way. Right. Then all of a sudden, sure enough, shadow from the helicopter went right over me and my bike. And I was just like, there is no way I am alive. No way. And so let me fast forward. I'm in the marathon, pitch dark out. And I'm at about mile 24. And this voice, I don't know how many of you guys have been spoken to by spirit I have like twice. All right. And this voice just came in and said, you created this.
Mm.
You created all of this.
Mm.
And I'm like, whoa,
Mm.
where did that come from? Right. And that's the whole thing. It was just like, Spirit was just confirming that everything I saw in that whole race, that whole day, I created.
Yeah.
And it was just like, getting confirmation from Spirit. I mean, I know it might sound crazy to folks, but I'm telling you, that's what happened, and ever since that, and you know what, I didn't put it in the book. It was, that was like a little too far down the rabbit hole for my first book, but I talked about it in my second one. But that's an extreme example of like what we're talking about. Get some great faces here on the screen. What are the Shay, what about like relationships and beliefs? You want to touch on that a little bit?
Relationships and beliefs.
Yeah.
Like, how your relationships go.
Right. Like, like how you attract in certain types of people into your experience.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, what happens is it goes back to the pattern we were talking about. That pattern plays out in relationships as well, where you end up attracting the same types of dynamics in your situation. For example, when I was younger, I was attracting the same type of boyfriend, the type of boyfriend that mimicked basically the beliefs that I had about myself. And those beliefs were that I wasn't good enough and I was second class. So it's kind of like the boyfriends that I attracted. They basically mimicked what I was believing about myself. And so it happens with everyone in relationships. You only attract to you what you are in relationships, meaning what you're thinking and believing. We're not talking about the truth of who you are, because the truth of who you are is divine. But if there's a limiting belief going on there, you're going to attract that in a relationship. So you just have to pay attention to patterns so that you could see, wow, okay, this looks familiar. The face has changed, the body has changed, but it's the same situation. Or even in a job, it could be the same thing in a job, right, Pete?
Oh, yeah.
Attracting the same types of jobs. You're like, oh, I'm trying to get away from this type of job. This job is not good for me. I can do better than this, but then you end up attracting the same thing if that belief hasn't changed.
Oh, absolutely. I've got a great short, another short story to share with you guys. We're touching on limiting beliefs, and we're gonna do next week's classes. We're gonna go way at limiting beliefs, and here's one for everyone. I used to work with a kid named David at this industrial waste facility. I used to work there at nights while I went to college in the morning, part-time, community college. And, over time, David opened up to me. And he shared with me the secret that kind of like really, was kind of holding him back. And the fact was that he had quit high school when he was in 9th grade. And it was just like he was like the secret because he didn't want him to get out. But what had happened was he had like recently him and his wife just had a baby boy. And he said to me, he's like, he said, Pete, he's like, what do I do? It's like, what am I going to do? Say to my son when he's like a teenager, and he finds out that I quit high school. He's gonna think I'm a loser, right? And I said, David, why don't you get your GED? And he's like, I don't have time to go back to school for 4 years. I'm like, you don't need to go to school for 4 years. I said, it's just a test. Mm-hmm. So the kid was motivated, took action. I told him to call his high school. I said, they'll hook you up. And well, long story short, he called the high school. They did an assessment, and they told him in less than 9 months he'd have his GED. Well, the kid was motivated, studied his ass off, got the thing in under like 6 months. And it changed his life because all of a sudden he had confidence. He had achieved something. And shortly thereafter, you could see it in his body language. It was before he was kind of like, like this. Now he's like, head up, shoulders back. Right. And then shortly thereafter, like I said, a promotion came through at that company in our department. And now that he had the confidence, he's like, I'm going to go for it. And then he went for it and he got it. And and the last thing, because I gave my notice and I was leaving, and because I was going to do another job where I go to school full time. And on the last day, he just said to me, he goes, Pete, you changed my life. He goes, if I didn't get my GED, none of this would be happening for me. Wow. And he said, and the best part he says, this is the last thing he said. He goes, you know what, Pete? He goes, maybe I'll go back to college like you. Yeah. And it was just like this limiting belief that he couldn't, the only GED was a 4-year program, was just like holding him back. And he had no idea. And this is something that he believed for 15 years, So, it's easier to spot limiting beliefs in other people than you spot them. You can see them in yourselves because
that's the truth. That's the truth.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, and on the last thing I want to wrap up with you guys, this is like way down the rabbit hole, but it's like, if I don't tell you this stuff, you're not going to hear it. So anyways, let me tell you about something called Prelife Agreements. All right. It's like sometimes in your life, you can have some crazy challenging situations show up in your experience. Okay. And some of those ones, they're actually agreements you made before you came into this experience because you're going to force yourself to grow. All right. And one of mine, I shared in my book, the 7 Master Keys for Success with Deliberate Creation, was you pick your parents, right? So I picked my parents, and part of that deal was that my mother was going to die when I was very young, and that would force me to be independent, and then would also lead to confidence, and that came to me through spirit, and it was just like, so if something crazy happens, right? It's not because you're doing something bad. Sometimes it's just like it was something that was set up. And it was a learning experience for you. So it's all about, no matter what, like whatever comes in, it's always for you, not to you. So it's just like, you just got to get off. Sometimes you just got to get off the ground, brush yourself off, and get back on the field and stop playing, And, as long as you never quit, you're never going to lose. That's just how it is.
Good advice. Very good advice.
All right, guys. Well, it's like you can all unmute, and I hope you guys have some questions, or it's going to be a short evening. Hey, Tara, good to see you again. Hey, and my man Miles out there.
Questions.
Yeah.
And for you, Pete, I'll read them out. If anyone has any questions, you can type it in the chat, or you can just come on and ask.
I hope I didn't lose anybody, but let's say,
it shows that we have about nine people. Yeah.
Cool. Hello, everyone. All right. Does nobody have any questions? Come on.
Anything, guys.
Yeah, it does have to be reality. Do you have any questions about any of my books at all? Or is everyone if everyone's nervous, just type it in the chat box,
Yeah. I'll read it. Okay. Do you use hypnosis as a tool?
I have not, but Sherie, have you?
I have.
Okay. What's your experience with that?
A lot of meditations that you listen to while you're going to sleep program the mind to receive something. So it's the same concept of affirmations in that you're reprogramming the mind. You're replacing certain belief systems with new belief systems. And where there are parts of you that are rejecting a belief that you want to perpetuate, like something that's positive and that's going to help you in your life, you might not be in a place to receive it. So the hypnosis is very powerful because it puts your mind in a place where it could receive it, because while you're sleeping, you're listening to something repetitively, and it's making those suggestions to you, and you're to receive it as being true.
So it basically, allows the mind to stop blocking it from coming in for you, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just another form, another tool, like the visualization and the affirmations to reprogram the mind. So
okay, cool. Yeah, I haven't tried that, but I know Justin Perry had great success with that.
You're welcome.
No, great question, Raquel. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Who's
Anyone
next?
else? Don't be shy, guys.
What question? I'm like,
that
man,
was a passion
wow, I didn't realize I was so darn good. I mean, everyone knows the stuff so well. There's no questions.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead, Carmen.
Okay, my name is Carmen, and I've read your book, Visual Festation, and I just want to ask, like, how long did it take you to achieve all the goals that you have written, and what is the what do you call this? When is the best time to do? I mean, I think you've done that in the morning, right?
Yeah, the best. Oh, the 12 crazy goals. That thing.
Yes.
I started to work it from soup to nuts. It took about 5 years, but I didn't have the 12 crazy goals for probably about a year. And because the crazy goal thing came to me through a friend of mine lending me the Personal Power 2, I believe it was called, by Tony Robbins. And for me, it's like real world. It's like the best time to do it is when it's the best time for you. I would say either, for me, either early in the morning when it's quiet or later in the night. Some people who have children have told me that the only time they can do it is after they put their kids to bed, because they're totally distracted. And there's no right time, there's no wrong time. It's just more, to me, it's more consistency. So it's just like some days you're gonna try to do all these extras, and one thing I need to tell everyone too, right? You don't need to do every single exercise every single day. For me, I script probably, one out of 10 times compared to when I visualize. I do visualize every single day, because to me, that I've got amazing results. And I think using the power of assumption, as what Neville Goddard calls it, is the most powerful tool I think any of us have. But some people may not be as visual as I am, and like my wife, and she scripts and she gets crazy good results as well.
Yeah.
And do you do visualization twice a day, in the morning and in the evening?
You know what? This is what I do. I visualize every morning, and if I typically will not visualize right before I go to sleep, but which is a great time to do it, because that's how I used to do it back around 15 years ago. But what I'll do is, if I wake up at night and I can't fall back to sleep, I'm visualizing, and it's just like, but it's if you could do it twice a day, I think it'd be great. It's
I think, Peter, the thing is like the key is like what you're saying is consistency.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
And you have to do it in a way that's practical for you and your lifestyle. Because sometimes if you get too wrapped up in, oh my God, I didn't do it this morning. Oh my God, I didn't do it at night. Then you're not going to really want to do it, but you can do it anytime.
Right.
Just make sure you do it.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, right? Some of the stuff that I teach in the visual manifestation system, some of it is gonna you're gonna love. Other stuff's gonna be kind of like, it feels like you're forcing it, and it's just like, if the technique feels like you're forcing it, just drop it. It's not like there's this formula for success where you've got to use 3 teaspoons of this, a pinch of that kind of thing. It's really just, can you believe it to be true? And that's what the power of assumption was, what Neville Goddard was.
Yes.
The most important thing is to get in that state of mind, or in that feeling that it's really done. It's already done. It's not like, oh, I wonder when it's going to show up. No, it's like it's here and it's now. And that's powerful. Oh, hey,
Yes.
all right,
So
we got
we
a
have
good,
two more
good.
questions, Pete.
Yeah, go ahead, Sherie.
One said, is gratitude one of the highest tools that we could use?
Oh, if I was to teach one thing to anybody, it would be gratitude. You know, because it's like when I do it's like I'll walk through my visualization process, right? It's like right off the bat, the first thing I'm doing is I'm having gratitude for all the blessings in my life. That's how I start off so it's like I close my eyes, I do my deep breath, and right from there, I'm rolling into gratitude right off the bat. I'm grateful for all the stuff in my life now, and grateful for all that's on its way. Because I'm telling you right now, it's the secret. It's like you have gratitude for what's yet to come, and you have it now. You've opened the gateway. It's going to come in.
That's right.
It's kind of like the secret code kind of thing, and it's just like the more grateful. Yeah, you want to become a magnet to good things. Ramp up the gratitude, and what my wife does when she's scripts, I'm happy and thankful for fill in the blank. She keeps rolling with that, right? And she just gets powerful energy. And it's the same thing with me. When I do every time I do my visualization exercise, right? I'm not exaggerating this, right? I get tears in my eyes while I'm doing it. I don't even know they're there until I come out of it, and like my face is wet, because it's just like I've got this monster gratitude effect happening. And it's like if you can do that, you can have anything. I mean, it's that emotion. It's like this emotion of gratitude, which is love. It just brings it in. It's just like, it's almost like spirit's like, you think it's good now? Wait till you see what I send you tomorrow. You're gonna go crazy,
That's right. Gratitude is like saying, send me more of that.
Yeah, exactly. Please supersize my life,
Exactly.
All right.
It shifts your focus. It shifts your focus from your problems and things that are going on in the world. It helps you to go within and to see. Like for me, I play a game of, you don't necessarily have to sit down and write down gratitude. You can play a game all throughout your day, especially if you're feeling sad. That's one of the best times to do it, because then you're able to raise your vibration, because you're shifting yourself to focus on things that you're grateful for. The universe says, wow, okay, they're grateful. So I definitely want to send them more of that type of thing.
Definitely. It's like having gratitude will help you get the wagon out of the ditch.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hey, we got another question there, Sherie.
Okay, let's see here. It's
from Ben.
Hi, everyone. I was wondering if you could talk about how individual and collective manifestations affect each other, and how can I create a reality that doesn't fit the collective reality, facts of my immediate physical surroundings.
Okay, well, the facts of your immediate surroundings are just like, it's essentially, it's just a reality that you're experiencing right now. It's it's the end result of thoughts you've held in the past. So it's like, once you get it right on the inside, the whole universe moves around to make the stuff happen for you. So it's just like, but it all starts from here. Everything starts here. Everything really in the whole experience, because that's what it is. It's like reality. It's your experience. We're all having our individual experiences, and we're all kind of playing on the playground at the same time on planet Earth, as it appears. So, get the inside right, and the whole collective. It's like, it's really you're really having your own experience. It's almost like, the best way I've heard it described is one person on the earth is what's going on. So it's just like, just look at your reality as this. Everything you see and everything, all the people in your reality, right? They're all actors in the movie of your life. Okay. And they change with the experiences. And that's really what's transpiring behind the scenes, is like that's, that's how your reality works. And the thing is, you're the owner of it. So it's just,
Right.
you start working on the inside and getting, where you decided where you want to go and be, do, or have. It's like, your reality is going to change.
Oh, yeah.
When you focus on like what's wrong, all you get is more things that are going to just make you crazy,
Right.
because it's like, whatever you focus on, grows, whether it's good or bad. And it's just like, and sometimes a fear train will take over, and you'll start having all these ideas that they're just in your head. It's like, you didn't lose your job. You're not homeless under the bridge. You're just having a bad day, And it's just like, you got to realize it's like, as soon as you start slipping, you need to, pull out the hammer and crush those negative emotions and ideas that are running through your head. Sherie, you want to add to that? Or?
Yeah, it's like everything is basically what you're focusing on. So you have to get really good at focusing on what you want. And regardless to the circumstances, you have to understand that everything is created from the inside first. So the inside is what creates the circumstances, not the circumstances creating what you see. You see? So you're basically in the driver's seat of your life. And if you don't like the results that you see on the outside, you can definitely change it through visualization, like Peter's saying earlier, through affirmation, like I was saying, through different techniques to bring yourself back to the place of power, which is in your present moment. That present moment is so powerful. And from that moment, you can erase everything that you see on the outside. It takes practice. It takes practice.
That's the thing too. And most people, like, they're almost like the stopwatch out. Like, well, how long is it going to take for me to manifest my Ferrari?
Right. No, it doesn't.
It's like, that's like not how it works. It's like, if you get it right on the inside, it'll show up quicker than not. But it's like, you got to stay with it till it shows up, And
you have to have that laser-like focus.
Yeah. Laser-like focus and gratitude now.
Yes.
And live from the part that's like, it already exists. That's what's wonderful about visualizing is like, you're driving the car. You can see it. You can hear the motor.
That's right.
You can hear it shift.
Yes.
Just easy analogy. But I used to, one of the techniques that I did when it was dark out, when I had my first the white Lexus that came in, that when I was trying to visualize on the beach in the book, it was just, I was trying to visualize a white Ford F-150 pickup truck. This Lexus keeps coming in. I'm like, no, I not a Lexus pickup truck, right? And the whole thing about it was, the universe is, wanted me to be a real estate broker and not be fixing houses.
Yeah.
And that's why and then it's just like, all right, it came in one morning. I think it was the day after I gave my notice at the what I call my temp job where I worked in the hospital. And same road I drive every single day, Bee Ridge Road in Sarasota, Florida. Driving up the street, there's the freaking car in my visualization that was coming in. Not a car that kind of looked like it. It was identical. And I'm like, I didn't have to think twice. A for sale sign on, I bought it on the spot. I mean, this is, it's what we mean by reality. Is not what you think it is, And okay. And
someone else had another question.
Yeah, we got another one there from Miles. Go ahead.
Have any advice for keeping patient while going from seed time to harvest? What a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. All right. Yeah. Well, let me expand. Let me share a nugget of wisdom with all you guys on that one. Right? Is some people get really caught up on timelines about when stuff's supposed to, and I've read the same books as everyone else has. Like, some people have the idea that, on or before this day, I'm going to have X. Well, then if that day comes and you don't have X, then you're like, this stuff doesn't work. This is hogwash, blah, blah, blah. Well, and the whole thing is, it's going to show up in its own perfect time. And trust me, I I am the opposite of a patient person. I am like type A on steroids, you know. And but I have to, it's what I do is it's like I know it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to show up. And one of the coolest things I've had in my experience with everything I've manifested is up to the second it shows up, every single thing looks exactly the same. Everything. So it's not like all of a sudden the waves start hitting the water, the wind starts blowing. No, it's just like boom. It just comes. It just like appears. Like how do it's like 1 second it wasn't there. Now it is here, and it's not like you know when it's going to show up. It shows up when its own perfect time, and it shows up when you get in alignment with your vibration, to allow it to come in. Because you know, here's the thing. Another thing I want to share with everyone. Right, everything, any experience, any combination of these things is already created. You're not building it. What you're doing is you're building a vibration that allows you to come from the unseen to the seen. I know that sounds crazy out there, but that's really what it is, you know, when they say, you know, and it was done. So it's like all those things out there, like let's say you want to be a veterinarian and live in Colorado Springs. Well, that exists because it's like it's infinite. So it's anything you desire to experience, it's already built. Now it just comes down to you doing the work and you know, focusing on what you desire. If you desire that thing, whatever it is, or you know, have to bring into your experience, it's there waiting on you.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, but the whole thing, it's all, you know, it's to get there, you've got to get there in your vibration and the feeling of having it now. Because until you get into the feeling of having it now, it's a possibility. You know, it's not, you know, it's not going to come in on its own, which is probably the best way I can say it.
Yes, yes. And it's about the mind, the body, and the soul being on the same page. You know, all of your minds, the subconscious, the superconscious, and the conscious minds, they all have to agree. When they agree and become of one accord, meaning have the same belief, then you're able to manifest. But if ever they're divided, you can't manifest because there's incongruence there. So that's another way to say the same thing that Peter's saying.
Well,
alignment.
That's the thing. It's just like you put it out there. Essentially, this is how it works, right? It doesn't say yes to this, no to that. It just does. It's like, you know, I want that. Yes. I don't want that. I don't hear not. You're getting it, kind of thing. You know, what if you know, I don't want is like saying I want to your subconscious. So be careful about that because, you know, it's the whole law of attraction. It's totally it's a two-way street. You know, it works just as good in one direction as it does in the other direction. And the whole thing is it's you that's doing it, either to you or for you. And sometimes it's like you're not going to feel good, and that's really just about, you know, Spirit saying, hey, it's like, hey, you know, you don't need to do it this way, you know, and we're just trying to give you a wake-up call. Okay. All right. So people had to leave, so I'm glad. Thank you for being on the call. We got another 10 minutes to answer some questions if anyone's, you know, has any more. I know it's a lot. It's one of those things that you probably, and for me too, right? I've been doing this stuff for over 20 years. All right. When I started off law of attraction, I had never even heard law of attraction. To me, it was just working with spirit. And I didn't realize it was called the law of attraction until I read the book called The Law of Attraction by Esther Hicks. And I'm just like, okay, let me get this straight. I already manifested all this stuff, and I had never even heard of the law of attraction. So, you know, you don't need to call it by the right name to, work it. And you know, and a lot of people, like the movie The Secret, it's like it was great to get people fired up, but everyone was kind of like, okay, I read this book 4 times. How come it's not changing? You know?
Yeah. Good point. Good point. Because
I've had, go ahead.
there's a gap between you and what you want until you get that alignment and that resonance with what you want.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have to, you
Yeah,
know? So that's what the secret left out. They left out those in-between things.
You know, exactly. You know, everyone's
Yeah.
like fired up. And like, you know, what was cool too was the my friend Justin Perry, who's got that You Are Creators channel. I mean, it's phenomenally successful.
Oh yeah, what a good
And
channel.
yeah, it's like, you know, he watched The Secret repeatedly, but what he did was he took action. It wasn't like that basically, like, you know, lit the fire, and now you can't put the fire out, which is awesome, you know. And yeah, so any other, you got some other questions here? Okay.
Let me see.
Cool. Get another one.
Other books besides creative visualization that help you visualize better?
Great question, but you know what? That's the only book I ever read on it, to tell you the truth. And in creative visualization that Shakti Gawain put out, right? It got me started, but I really didn't follow her techniques myself, because it just didn't click, you know. I knew this, you know, what I read before that was the Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol, and the Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And the Power of Your Subconscious Mind, that's the first book I read, and that's the first book that Justin Perry read after watching the movie The Secret. And it's like, you know, and my thing was, if they gave examples of people who had, you know, manifested houses, these things, right? Like I did after reading this stuff. And my whole thing was, if they can do it, I can do it. And I kind of just honed in my own technique of, like, you know, just I would try different techniques, and eventually I came up with the 5 that in the visual manifestation system. But it's kind of like, don't try to read this stuff like as like a recipe. Feel free to, you know, add more spices to it or whatever. You know?
Right.
It's really molding the what you're visualizing with gratitude to, you know, to get it so that you can actually believe it yourself. You know, and one of the things we're going to talk about later in goal setting is sometimes people out of the box to pick a goal that's kind of like beyond where they're at in their experience, like, and like it's like something they really can't believe. And if you pick a goal that's like too big for you, what happens is it's like you're trying to do these techniques, and in your head it's saying that's not going to happen. Are you kidding me? So it's like you don't get in that feeling because you really can't get your arms around it. And I see that happen all the time. And it's just like people, they try to go for something too big for them. It's like, hey, you know, it's like climbing stairs, you know. It's like the top of the stairs right now might be, you know, like out of where your vibration is, because it's like what you can believe could happen for you. But as you climb the stairs in the staircase, it'll get closer. But, you know, sometimes halfway up the stairs is as high as you can really believe that you can achieve whatever the heck it is that you desire. And it just comes down to like what you can believe. It's like, if you can truly believe that you can have this really big thing, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to go for it, but I just don't want people to they get discouraged, you know, because, and it's really, you know, it's easier for me because I've already done it. Okay. So it's just like, I can probably have a easier time believing I can manifest something in my reality because I've done, it's like working out. The more the stuff shows up, the stronger your faith becomes. So, you know, and it's, once your faith is unstoppable,
yes,
you're unstoppable as well.
So another book also to add to that is Wishes Fulfilled.
Ooh, I haven't heard of that one.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, who wrote that?
Dr. Wayne Dyer. He wrote
Dyer, okay.
And it was basically based on Neville Goddard's book, The Power of Awareness, and also his books on imagination. Neville Goddard has a lot of books on imagination, teaching you how to visualize and to see the end result of what you want.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was only introduced to Neville Goddard's works 3 years ago, and I read and I reread his book, The Power of Awareness, like almost every night before I go to bed.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a thin book, but he is telling you the same thing that I'm teaching you in visual manifestation. He's just saying it in a different way. And the biggest thing I love is just like, your imagination is there to help you create that which you desire. It's not something for daydreaming.
Yeah.
This is a tool that's been given to you by spirit so that you can create the life that you desire. That's why you have an imagination.
Yes.
You know?
In the Bible, it talks about it too. It says, where there is no vision, the people perish. So the vision is your imagination, your ability to see. So that's where your power is. So we're destroyed when we don't have that vision, when we don't cultivate that. So it's something that you have to cultivate. You have to practice it.
Yeah, and the besides the imagination, you know, it's like a 2-page chapter called The Power of Assumption. You know, and that's, you know, it's real and it's in the now, like I described.
Yes.
And that's, you know, that's the key to having the stuff come from the unseen to the seen into your experience. It's powerful book beyond words, and it's in the free ebooks I give away on the Tools for Your Success. So any of you guys don't have that book, it's in there and it's for free. But it's you know, it's an amazing book. I mean, I read it, and it seems like every time I read it, it's just like confirmation of what I already believe, which is like reinforcing it and making my faith stronger. So
yes,
you know,
yes, that was a great question about the books, because books are powerful to help to bring it home, to break it down in layman terms.
Oh, exactly. There's a lot of really good books that were written right around the turn of the last century, like 1900 to like 1915. And it was just, there must have been something going on in the consciousness of the world or something, because there's some crazy, like Wallace Wattles, you know, James Allen. I mean, these, you know, the are just amazing works. And you know, make it a habit, guys, of you know, set aside some reading time, because this stuff will get you fired up. I mean, most of those books I've read or listened to, like a lot, like to the point where if I'm listening to it on in the car on a CD or something, I already know I already know the words coming next. It's like, you know, it's like when you learn the lyrics to a song. You know, that's how many times I've listened to some of these books, you know. And it's funny, I have to admit this. I used to sell the visual manifestation on a CD, and the last one I had, I saved for myself, because every now and then on those road trips, I'll listen to my own book and I'll be like, that was me. That's me. Like, whoa, you know, because it's, you know, it just brings it home. It's like, I remember it, and it's just like, that really happened. Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah, I'm the guy in the vision house. So, you know, it's you know, and usually I'll just listen to the first 3 chapters. I usually don't listen to the rest of it, because it's just like, you know, the stories that I share in the book are the first 3 chapters. And it fires me up. I mean, you know, everybody needs motivation, you know, and especially on those days when you don't feel like doing it.
Yes.
I always feel like doing it. So it's like I don't feel good until I get my hour of power done. And I don't care what is going on. Like, you know, tragically last year, we got a call at it was 1:30 in the morning, and one of our team members who works for us, her house burned down. So and she's like our lead person. It's just like, I don't know how to do her job. And we're like, who does know how to do her job? Because she's not going to be to work tomorrow morning. And so it was like, Rob and I were up all night after that call. There was no going back to sleep. And when I got home that afternoon, I did my hour of power, you know, and 'cause it's like, it's like, I will not miss a day doing my hour of power, period. Number one, probably a big part of it is because I tell everyone I do it every single day, and I'm not going to be a liar. So it's like, I got to, I got to hold myself accountable. And
Yeah.
you start doing it. It's like, if you don't do it, it's like, you start getting hooked on it. It's kind of like, it's like
Yeah.
this.
Well, it's like it becomes like brushing your teeth. I know that it's that way for me because I would never leave the house without brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
So I would
Yeah.
never go without doing my hour of power because I know that I'm looking to raise my vibration from where it is to a higher place. So that's really the key of it.
Oh yeah, and the other part too, right? It's like,
Yeah.
the more consistent you are with showing up and doing it, the faster it's going to show up in your reality.
Yes.
That,
So
that's
Anita had something that Anita Johnson is on, Peter, and she wanted us to add to something that she said. She said, "Ask and it is given" by Abraham Hicks and Esther Harry Hicks.
Yeah, I have read that.
And how does it
describing?
How does it fit into what you are describing for your perspective? It seems to measure how far and how far off we are from a certain vibration. And I need help holding myself accountable to someone else that helps. Maybe having a buddy who is the same into the same things. I get what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's Anita. That's an excellent question. Excellent question. Yeah, and part of my course, in the self-study guide, I try to peer match people up so they'll hold each other accountable. So it's like, it's almost like did my hour of power, in which way I did. But the thing is, sometimes it can be a little bit challenging finding people who are the same mindset, because a lot of people, this is just like, the only thing they know is religion and God's someplace up there, and I'm going to hell if I don't do what they say. And it's just like, whoa, I don't think so. That's your belief. You keep it, not mine. But try to find somebody to hold yourself accountable. And this might be a great thing too, Anita. It's like, start a journal, okay? And what I do in that my journal, put the date on the top of it. That way I know every single day I'm holding myself accountable. And because what you do, just like maybe just have a gratitude journal where it's like every single day you write down one thing or more that you're grateful for, and it's just like, if you can wake up alive, you got something to be grateful for, and everything from there is just gravy. As far as one of the things that I kind of, when I read the Asking is Given, that was kind of before I had the understanding I have now, because I read that, I want to say around 13 or 14 years ago. I want to say it was like around 07, 09, something like that.
That's funny because I read it around that time as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those things that it was just, I read it and I was like, it was, it was good, but I had already gotten a lot of results already. So I was kind of like sticking to my own craft kind of thing. But, when she, back at that time, I'm like, the idea of like channeling stuff, that was kind of a little, at the time for me, a little woo-woo, right? Nowadays, I'm like, I'm totally in. Well, there's so much stuff going on that we don't, we're not privy to in our experience at this whatever level we're at, and stuff for me too. Like I did some guided meditations that were just like over the top, and that's where I met my spirit guides, I met my guardian angels, and I met these entities, and they shared all this amazing information with me. And then what happened later from there was I got the information from Spirit on my last book, the Shattering the Illusion of Disease. It's like that came in, like when came in at night, woke up, now I have this information. And one of the wildest things was I had been thinking about writing the book, and I had the title, Shattering the Illusion, right? But I hadn't written the book. So get this one. This is kind of funny. I'm in Breckenridge. I'm in the condo. I open up the cupboard where the water glasses were, right? I open the cabinet, like 14 glasses like launch out of the cupboard, smash on the countertop, smash on the floor. There's freaking glass everywhere, right?
Wow.
And it was just like shattering the illusion. It was like Spirit saying, hey,
Hmm.
get on the book. We gave you the information. What are you waiting for? Right? I'm not kidding you, right?
Wow.
It happened like one more time, like 3 weeks later.
Wow.
And now I got to buy more glasses, you know? and there was just like, you know, so that's how, you know, Spirit will talk to you, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, after that, I'm like, all right, I'm running out of glasses. I'll write the book, you know? And, but yeah, it's, you know, that's how I personally have evolved spiritually,
Okay.
you know, on my
That's
little journey over here.
That's been Jerry Hicks' phenomenal work, you know, but as we know, everything is not complete. So they give you a lot of things, but then you have to go do some homework to find out the in-between stuff. So they're very powerful as a start and an introduction into things.
Yeah. Great question. I hope that was that helpful, Anita? Okay, good.
Is there maybe a book club of a few others reading your books and maybe discussing it with one?
Yeah. The you know, that'd be great. Right now, I haven't put that out there, but if you want to lead that, Anita, I'll do a blast on our Tools for Your Success newsletter, and I can just have, you know, you can just send me your email address, and what you could do too, right, is where I have everyone who's like pretty much signed up already has the like 35 or 40 ebooks I have out there. And, you know, I mean, you know, there's some gems, I'm telling you, like the Power of Awareness, As a Man Thinketh. I mean, was the Game of Life and How to Win It by, is it Shovel's Shin or something like that? Sherie, I forget her name, but that's a great book, you know. And yeah, it's like if you want to do that book club, and what you could do too is you could just have it like do a virtual book club. I mean, look what we're doing on Zoom, you know, and you could do that with the free version. You know, that would be, you know, that'd be pretty easy, you know, and that, I think that's a heck of an idea. And what you could do from that too, Anita, there would be your ability to find the accountability partner, and maybe have an accountability group, you know, and that, you know, that was 2 birds with 1 stone for sure. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that is.
All right. Well, hey, it's 8:09. Any more questions? Going to the last call for questions. And next week will be, just so everyone knows too, is you've got to sign up for the each one of these classes. So you go to the website. I'll have the link out there tomorrow, so you can sign up for the next week's class. It's not selling out, but eventually it will. So I want to get everybody in the habit of doing it, and that'll be great. And you know what, Sherry's she obviously knows her stuff. And Sherie, you want to tell them about your website if anyone wants to reach out to you?
Yes, anyone who wants to check out the website, it's also a blog where I write a lot of self-help articles. And the name of the website is called purposemeetsdestiny.com, and you can check me out there.
Alrighty.
Do coaching and consulting and stuff like that. So if you want to reach me, you can definitely fill out the information on the website.
Okay, great. All right, well, guys, well, thanks for being on the call. I really appreciate your questions, and I hope you found it to be helpful. Okay, so I hope to see you all next week at the same bat time, same bat channel. All right, guys, have a wonderful week.
Everyone.
Take care.
Appreciate it. Thank
Bye,
you so
everyone.
much.